It's Friday. It is June 27th. It is Friday. It is also really early in the morning. It is 8:04 a.m. And what we're going to do today is we're going to get this podcast down early so you can get back to your weekend and I can get back to my weekend. On the screen here is the Buzzsprout is the Buzzsprout website if you want to hear the podcast in audio. There's all your websites on the right that you can click under follow to hear the podcast in audio, or you can just hit the play button on the screen under that website and hear it in audio. Works in both. What is happening, Bird Jones 45? You can visit us on TikTok at the link above, at the address above. You can visit me on X. I keep wanting to say Twitter. I don't think I ever am gonna like X. You can visit me at X, just straight up at Burb Jones. What's happening? We have the NBA draft completed, and we have some trades that went down before the NBA draft that also got completed, and that is going to be what this is about. Starting off with the NBA Finals real fast because the Finals, um, I guess, needs to be talked about. You know, I think that after we saw Game 7 was happening, I think that most people penciled in OKC as the winner. But I think that most people gave Indiana a chance until Halliburton hurt himself. Um, Halliburton said he has no regrets hurting himself. He said he would do it again if he had the chance. And I respect the man for trying to put on for his city and his team. That man loves Indiana. But after Halliburton went down, there was nothing else to really watch. Indiana can't beat, you know, they're not gonna win. They're not gonna win a Game 7 without Halliburton. Pack it up, it's over. Um, that game that Halliburton, Game 6, Halliburton played and they won. Halliburton had a big role in that game. Halliburton is the engine of the offense. Nimhard cannot run the offense. T.J. McConnell does an okay job, but the Pacers aren't going to win a championship without Halliburton. And I think when most people saw Halliburton go down, they knew it was time to pack it up. The finals over. I guess for me, uh, um, I think that OKC is very well equipped here to straight up just do this again. There's no reason that there's no reason that the OKC Thunder can't go back to a Game 2 or finals 2 years in a row. I spent a large amount of time yesterday just trying to think of the Western teams that could even give the Thunder a problem. Maybe Houston, the new Houston with Kevin Durant. That's the only team. Like, the Denver Nuggets didn't get better. And the Denver Nuggets haven't really been, the front office of the Denver Nuggets, after they won that championship, they have not been putting forth the motions to better that team. It's actually like they're putting forth the motions to not better the team, firing coaches, letting players go. They are going backwards. The Timberwolves have shown that they cannot beat the OKC in 7 games, and I don't think anything's going to change in Minnesota that's going to make them beat OKC in 7 games. Golden State, no, not happening. What team in the West even stands remotely a chance here is what I'm trying to say. Excuse me. Early mouth phlegm. So I was looking at DraftKings yesterday on the odds and whatnot on next year's NBA champion, and I just can't. The next team with the highest odds to win a championship next year is Houston. It's OKC and then Houston. You think Houston's about to come in with KD year one and beat this OKC team? I don't think so. At the best, they might give them 7 games. I don't think so. And who in the East is going to do it? Jason Tatum is hurt. The Boston has been slightly dismantled. Um, the Tyrese Halliburton just hurt himself. He's not going to play for at least half the season. Who is not? The Cavs have failed repeatedly. The Knicks have come close, but the Knicks ain't beaten OKC. They just fired their coach. Who is? I'm having a really giant problem trying to figure out who can beat OKC again, and who can stop them from winning again. I'm having a problem trying to figure that out. Even Vegas is having a problem figuring that out. As soon as Kevin Durant got traded to Houston, Houston became the number 2 runner-up to win the championship. So obviously, nobody thinks that anybody can beat OKC, and and that's probably going to be who I pick to win again next year, because who's going to beat them? Everybody there is coming back. Who's going to beat them? They're going to come back. They're all going into their prime. They're all young. Who's going to beat them? Sit there and think to yourself right now, when you get off of this or while you're listening to this, think to yourself right now, who's going to beat them? I sat and mulled over it yesterday and could not figure out anybody. I couldn't figure out anybody to beat them. And I don't think Vegas knows either, because they got Houston in a second, and I just don't see that happening. It would have to be a hell of a year for Houston. That's all I gotta say. On to the trades. So the draft happened, which we're gonna talk about last, but we're just gonna run through the trades that happened the day or two before the draft. Pelicans trade the Wizards. The Wizards front office just ceases to amaze me over and over. I mean, they got rid of Beal for a lot. That was cool. But this right here just doesn't make any sense to me. It trades Jordan Poole for C.J. McCollum, more or less, and gave the Pelicans a pick. I don't understand that at all. Poole and McCollum play the same position. They're saying they want to free up cap space, but that doesn't make any sense to me, because Washington wasn't paying nobody anyway besides Jordan Poole. They paid Jordan Poole, who's making like $40 million a year. The rest of them dudes, they ain't paying them nothing. So the whole cap space thing, I don't know. But here's my point of view, real quick on it. You traded a younger guard for an older guard of the same position. They play the same position. So you got rid of youth, and you brought in age, and you gave a pick away. So I don't understand that process for Washington. Besides clearing up salary, but I mean, you ain't paying nobody. What you gonna do with the salary? All that salary, and who's gonna come to Washington as a free agent expecting to win something? I mean, I don't know. I don't, whatever. But I don't understand that as far as winning the trade. I think the Pelicans clearly won it, getting Jordan Poole and a pick and Sadiq Bey, and the Wizards got C.J. McCollum. Kelly Olynyk don't matter. So you got C.J. McCollum and a second-round pick for the future for Jordan Poole, and a pick that turned into something yesterday. So whoever's in the Wizards front office, just get rid of them. Kevin Durant to Houston. This is good for both teams. Kevin Durant tried with Phoenix. It wasn't working. Get something for him while you can. That's what they did. They got Jalen Green, who's a streaky shooter. They got Dylan Brooks, who can play wing defense. They need some wing defense. They went out and got two big men as well. So the Suns have been putting in a lot of work here, and they're, for getting, Kevin Durant wasn't taking them nowhere. So getting rid of Kevin Durant and getting a haul for him, good work for the Suns front office. You got something for your mistake. It was a mistake to bring him there. You thought it was going to be something. It wasn't. It was a mistake to bring Beal there too. That's who you need to offload next, but nobody wants that contract. Let's talk about that later. But it was a mistake to bring Beal there too. It was a mistake to bring Durant there, but he tried. But Beal was a huge mistake. But at least you got something for Durant, and that's what matters. What you're gonna get for Beal, who the hell knows? Nobody wants that contract. And Beal don't really have a place in the new lineup. What you gonna bench Jalen Green for Beal? So where is he even supposed to play? To come off the bench at $40 million. But this trade's okay for both. Durant needs to do something with Houston to make the trade worth it. So for Houston's perspective, you need Western Conference Finals, or you just gave up a bunch for nothing. And preferably, you need to make the finals. But like I said, OKC is a problem. But Durant needs to be healthy, and Houston needs to make it to the Western Conference Finals, or they gave up a bunch of stuff for nothing. And they need to. And also, there's a time limiter on it because they need to do it quickly. Kevin Durant is old. You do not have 5 years to do this. But as far as trade, they both did good. Phoenix filling up depth. The Rockets were clearly thirsty for a superstar. They got their superstar. Kevin Durant is a giant upgrade from Jalen Green. Dylan Brooks just got thrown in for collateral. Dylan Brooks is replaceable. They can replace, someone off the bench from Houston is deep. Someone off the bench from Houston can come in and fill in for Dylan Brooks. And then the Mark Williams trade, which I was, Phoenix went out and covered a need. They needed a big man. They got two big men, one in the draft, and then they got Mark Williams. Mark Williams was supposed to go to the Lakers last year, got blown up. This is also good for both teams. The Mark Williams clearly didn't want to be in Charlotte, even though he was forced to finish the year there. He didn't want to be there. And so he goes to a team that can be somewhat competitive and was in need of a big man. Hopefully he can play more games than he's been playing. And the Hornets get 2 first-round picks. So you're not going to get, and then they got Michich, however you pronounce Buddy's name. But you're not going to get better than 2 first-round picks for Mark Williams. So the good job on the Hornets front office. That's a good job. You negotiated, even though one's in 2029, you still negotiated 2 first-round picks and a player for Mark Williams. And that's a good negotiation. I don't care who you are. Mark Williams is good. 2 first-round picks for him is an excellent negotiation on the Hornets' part. And that is, Mark Williams will fill in a big void. The Suns brought over Nurkic, and they brought over the other boy from the Hornets too. So now they got both the centers there from the Hornets. But what's the old boy's name? Damn, brain dead here. Nick, whatever his name is, Nick Richards. Yeah, they brought over Nick Richards from the Hornets. Now they're bringing over Mark Williams from the Hornets. They got all the Hornets centers. Now they got too many big men. You're probably going to see one get cut. Nurkic is probably going to be cut. They're not about to keep all these big men on the team. Nurkic is about to get cut, probably. They just drafted one as a rookie. Someone's getting cut. I wouldn't be surprised. Nick Richards is about to get benched for the man he was already benched for in Charlotte. But good trade on both sides. Good negotiations by the Hornets to get 2 first-round picks from Mark Williams. That's good negotiations, and the Hornets fill a big man need. The big board here on the draft, everything seems to win as planned. The Suns, the Spurs, in my opinion, with Dylan Harper, I think that they have too many guards. You have Dylan Harper, you have De'Aaron Fox, you have Stephon Castle, and that's a problem. You have too many guards. Now you have 3 guards that all want a crap load of playing time and all think they are worthy of starting. And so now you have a depth problem. And so now what are you going to do? You got 2 young guards. One just won Rookie of the Year. You got one you just traded for. I understand Dylan Harper should have been the 2nd pick or whatever, but I don't know. You drafted too many guards, and I think you have a problem with that. Cooper Flagg, he went as usual to Dallas, and I think when Kyrie comes back, they're going to be a problem. VJ Edgecombe wasn't familiar with and had to get familiar with. He's from the Bahamas, but 2-way player. I think the Sixers did good right here. They need somebody to go next to Tyrese Maxey. The Sixers have always been weak at the number 2 shooting guard spot. They've been weak there, and I think that's what VJ Edgecombe is about to do. Con Knippel, everybody say, why did Charlotte Hornets draft him instead of Ace Bailey? Ace Bailey plays the same position as Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges. He's played the same exact position. That's why they didn't draft Ace Bailey. They have enough wingmen. They needed a shooting guard to go next to LaMelo, and Knippel is probably going to slide into the 2 next to Melo, just like Edgecombe is going to slide into the 2 probably next to Tyrese Maxey. Ace Bailey went to Utah, who also has Markkanen on the wing, and they have John Collins, but I'm pretty sure they'll find a spot for Ace Bailey. They're going to have to bench somebody. They can't start Markkanen, Ace Bailey, and John Collins. So someone's about to get benched, and that's going to be a very interesting situation. Washington went with Trey Johnson. They needed a point guard, but Trey Johnson isn't a passing point guard. He's a scoring point guard, and he doesn't assist that much. But Washington needed guards. They have none. But Trey Johnson isn't exactly a field general. He's a scoring point guard, kind of like a McCollum. So there's that. I'm not going to get too far into the draft board here. Hope your team got who they wanted. We're going to get off the podcast here. Pretty quick, pretty easy, pretty nice podcast. If you want to see the audio episodes, just go to the link right below there. Thanks for everybody downloading the audio episodes. We got 26 downloads now from the Buzzsprout website. That's good. I'm going to let y'all get to your weekend. Before my dog start barking and giving me hell this morning, it's early. Go enjoy your weekend. Get some sunshine. Thank you for watching and downloading the podcast. You can catch the highlights on TikTok. If you just want to see the real quick highlights, follow that TikTok above, and you can just see that's where I post the real quick stuff if you don't want to watch a whole episode. That's it. We gone. Here's the there's the Buzz Sprouty again before we outie again. My friend.